And we are live with another edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Nicholas Pavona, joined alongside, as always, by my co-host Andrew Johnson. And Johnson, we are down to the final two teams in this year's NBA season. On one side in the Eastern Conference, it was a sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals. On the Western side, we got a 7-game thrilling series between OKC and San Antonio, and we now know the two teams that will be playing for this year's Larry O'Brien Trophy. Game 1 kicks off on Wednesday night. Certainly a different contrast of styles of how we got it to this NBA Finals, but nonetheless, we are here anticipating game number 1 on Wednesday night.
4 teams went to war, Nick. Only 3 teams realized they were in a war.
Yeah, I was just going to say, was it 4?
What? They all went to war, Nick.
Analytically speaking,
both games went to 7.
Analytically speaking, I think 7. I think both those series definitely went to 7 games. That's for sure. But it's just been a crazy, crazy time to get to where we're at right now. Even a crazy day in the world of sports itself. I'm sure once we get closer towards the NFL season, we'll break down some of the trades that happened today in the NFL world. But today is all about the NBA Finals, and we're going to break down what happened in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, and then break down the NBA Finals matchup itself, give our pick on who's going to win the NBA Finals and who will win Finals MVP. So, Johnson, I think it goes without saying, I think we have to also keep in mind, too, we also should talk about the new, I don't know if you want to touch upon it a little bit later on, but we should also probably talk about the new draft draft modifications that have been put into place with the tanking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to go into that first before we break?
Let's talk about that, Nick. A team like the San Antonio Spurs will never happen again.
Yeah,
you could build through the draft. Pick Wemby 1 year, pick Harper the next year, get Castle the year before that. It's just a real shame because that is effectively dead now. And listen, some are ethical, like that's an ethical way to do it, and then some are unethical when you have the process in Philadelphia, which really kickstarted all this nonsense.
Like
when you had Jakar Sampson point guard. Jakar Sampson running the point guard for Philly is the reason for all this right now. As crazy as this sounds, Jakar Sampson running point guard for the Sixers 10 years ago is why we're in this mess.
Did not think we would get to Jakar Sampson on this show, but I guess I shouldn't be really surprised at this point. Shout out to St. John's also winning their Super Regionals in baseball today.
First time since 2012, second time since it was implicated since 1999. So all of New York City is partying like 1999 right now.
And to break down the actual lottery system itself, they're calling it the 3-2-1 lottery system. So instead of the old system where only the top 4 picks are going to be decided by a drawing, now all 16 non-playoff teams / play-in teams, keep in mind, that's a big note there, they're all now included in the lottery drawing to determine the first 16 picks. So there's going to be a total of 37 lottery balls allocated. The teams that finish with the 4th through 10th worst records now will receive 3 balls, which is an 8.1% chance at the number 1 overall pick. The 3 worst teams will now only get 2 balls, which are 5.4% odds, along with the 9th and 10th play-in seeds, and the 7th and 8th play-in losers will get 1 ball, which is 2.7 odds. So really unprecedented time. It really goes to show what happened this past season, where Adam Silver and company were trying to make sure that this wouldn't happen again. I'm not saying I agree with this decision in terms of what they've done, but it's certainly going to make next year's NBA draft very interesting because we talked about it all year. This college draft from coming into this NBA draft is rich with a lot of talent. Now is it going to screw over a lot of these teams the next 2 years until the next collective bargaining agreement comes upon around 2028.
What's crazy, Nick?
Yeah.
And not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
When you want to talk about drafts and stuff like this, you know what this is really going to kill? This is going to kill expansion drafts, too.
Yeah.
The NBA is going to expand very soon. And it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah.
What are these teams, Vegas and Seattle, not coming back to the league? What are they going to do when they can't get ahead? When they're already the draft pool they have is all right. Well, you have to pick from these players, right?
Right.
Like these are the players you got to pick. And by the way, there's not even a chance of you getting a good one because a lot of is rigged against you.
Right.
So
And
I don't know what you do here.
I also got to mention, these are also two big, changes as well with it. To prevent the teams with the worst records from plummeting too far, they can't receive a pick lower than 12. So all the lottery teams can fall as far as number 16, which is insane considering you could be the worst team in the NBA and that could happen. And teams are banned from receiving the number one overall pick in back to back drafts. So there's not a scenario where you can get the number one pick and the next year, if you're again in that spot, you're automatically out of the running again, the number
Well,
one
what I
overall
will
pick.
say is this is a true lottery now because it used to be like, oh yeah, if you're bad, you had better odds. Like, no, this is a legitimate lottery now
Yeah,
because there's a better chance of you working to win a title. Being a savage GM. Not tank quote unquote, but how Leon Rose kind of built the Knicks and take 2-year friendly deals, clear your cap space, and try to get free agents elsewhere.
right.
They want you to build your teams, but I don't know if this is the most efficient way to do it because you're really punishing teams that are just legitimately bad. Like there are some teams like the Knicks the one year in 2018, 2019, they were bad. It wasn't
Yeah.
like they were just tanking on purpose. They were just a bad basketball team by design. They had made a bunch of bad trades. They had no players, and they were a bad team. It's not like they were on purpose resting players trying to lose games. No, those guys went out there every night and tried to win. They were just terrible.
Right, that was the difference of this season because player teams were deliberately doing that, and I think that's the problem with why this happened because there were a lot of teams like Indiana, like Utah, like Memphis, Washington that were deliberately benching players that were probably good to play just to get better odds at getting AJ Dybantsa, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, guys like that, and now you got into the spot where all those rules and plus a couple other more are included. You can't, for example, another thing, teams can't add a protective clause to newly traded draft picks. So now you can't even do that with some of these draft picks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes next season. Keep in mind, this isn't for this year's NBA draft. This will be implemented in next year's NBA draft. So we'll have to wait a full year to see how this all works. But it's going to make this offseason, I feel like, a lot more interesting because you can't necessarily, you got to try to put a good product on paper because unless that's the case, then even if you have the worst record in the league next year, you're not guaranteed to get that pick whatsoever.
No, and that's the way the cookie's gonna crumble now. And can you imagine like in a Cooper Flag draft, you could be the seventh seed, fall out of the lotto, like fall out of the playoffs because of the play-in, and then
Yeah,
end up with Cooper Flag.
right.
You could be
Yeah,
a team in the West that's like a 45 win team and get Cooper Flag. That's
yeah.
crazy.
No, that's really what I'm like. That's what's unheard of about this. Like there's going to be a play-in team that misses the playoff entirely. That was like going into the play-in, maybe like the seventh or eighth seed, like you said, like a 45-win team. They miss it because they lose a couple games. Like for example, the Clippers didn't win that many games, but they were in the number 7, 8 spot. They lost both their games, so they missed the playoffs. And now they're a team that, thankfully for themselves, they got a top 5 pick this year because of that trade for Zubac. But they lost their pick to the Thunder because of the Paul George SGA trade. And they're a team that could benefit from this type of a ruling because now they could go from, oh, shucks, we missed the playoff, but hey, the NBA just kind of gifted us an opportunity to get the number one overall pick or at least get into the top 5 now with better lottery odds.
We live in unprecedented times, Nick, and I have a feeling this is only going to be temporary. Temporary. I think by 2030,
Yeah. I think
this is going to
once
be gone.
I think the first 2 years are going to be interesting because, like I mentioned, I believe the collective bargaining comes up in 2028. So I think they're going to go through the 2 year stretch to see how it works, and if it's good, then maybe they'll keep it. I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to stick, but I think you have to give it a shot at least to see how it will work. Right now on paper, it doesn't sound good, but hey, we might be saying 2 years from now, you know what? This isn't as bad as we thought it would be.
Well, it also boils down to the NBA regular season doesn't mean anything as a Knicks season ticket holder. I really don't care about the regular season. I really don't at this point. It used to be fun, you know, back in the day where every game mattered, players cared, and that was it. Now you have a Detroit team that wins 60 games and they don't do it. They won 60 games and they get knocked out in the second round because all these other teams really didn't even try during the regular season. When they actually tried, Detroit was done. So like regular season paper tigers exist now. What it was very unheard. Like the 70-win Warriors team, or 73-win Warriors team, they cared.
Yeah,
They wanted to win every single game, every single night, and it's not the case anymore. So
yeah, they were
if
changing
this
history,
fix
of
if this
course, that year.
fixes the yeah if this fixes the regular season problem, then it's a whole other bargaining agreement right there.
Yeah, I think it could potentially lead to regular season games being a lot better, which I think what the NBA is probably hoping for at this point. Because, like you said, regular season games, you know, aren't where they used to be. I feel like by adding this, that maybe that's what they're going for. Because if you look at how the playoffs have gone, that's where their bread and butter is. But even in the playoffs, we've had a lot of blowout games. So it's like it's really hurting a lot of these things from happening in terms of they're getting this viewership. There's been a couple decent games, mostly in the Western Conference Finals. I felt like we had that, but a lot of these games in the playoffs have been a lot of blowouts, and they're hoping to not only improve the product for the playoffs in terms of getting better production there, but now they're looking to hopefully get that production in the regular season as well before the postseason begins. So these next couple of months going to next season are going to be very, very interesting to say the least. But I think, Johnson, we've done pretty much a good talk about the draft lottery. Let's go into the actual NBA Finals now, talk about the teams that have gotten there. We'll start off with the Eastern Conference champion, the New York Knicks, and what a series against the Cleveland Cavaliers for this Knicks team. You and I were there for game number one of this series, and it was certainly a tale of two different sides of
Tale of
emotions.
two halves.
Yeah,
I can't even say a tale of
I
two
only
halves
two
because the
halves.
first half was pretty close. It was a tale of a different 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, the Knicks early on in this game, both teams were very rusty. The Cavaliers, of course, coming off a back-to-back 7-game series, first with Toronto, then with Detroit. The Knicks haven't played what in like 10 days or something like it was at that point. So both teams really were struggling to shoot the ball early in that game. The Cavaliers got something going before the first half ended, and that carried over into the second half, and they were dominating in the third quarter of that game. And towards the start of the fourth quarter, they were doing the same thing. About 4 minutes in, it's a 22-point lead for Cleveland. It looks like there's no hope for the Knicks whatsoever. You and I were conversating about it, saying, "What's even the consolation prize of this game?" Because there's no way they come back and win this game. And then Jalen Brunson just said, "You know what? I'm going to do whatever I can possibly do to make this game very interesting." He does that, makes it a 5-point game at one point with about 3 minutes and change left. Evan Mobley hits a three to put them back up 8. It looks like, okay, nice run. Great job at least making this making this a game, but that's probably a dagger shot right there. Then Mikal Bridges hits back-to-back threes to make it a 3-point game, and then arguably in my lifetime, maybe the loudest I've heard a stadium/arena erupt on a certain situation of a game. I think the only thing I can, vividly remember it being loud for was that Didi Gregorius home run in 2017 for the Yankees wild card game. OG Anunoby finds Landry Shaman wide open for a three. And when I say that there was two different sides of emotions, like I mentioned earlier, it really showed on this shot for Landry Shaman. You probably have seen it by now, but I implore everyone to watch the shot again because you could just hear the audible awe because every Knicks fan thought that shot was going to miss. It hit multiple sides of the rim. It hit the backboard, and by the fates of some gods or whatever you want to put it for the Knicks, it just rolls in, and it went from "oh, we missed it and had a chance to tie the game" to "oh my god, the game is now tied. How is this happening at this current point in time?" It really was deflating for Cleveland the way that happened. It goes into overtime. OG Anunoby was really big in that overtime stretch, scoring, I think, 8 of the Knicks' 14 points in overtime. Brunson finishes with 38 points. And the Knicks go from down 22 points with about 7:30 left in the game to winning the game by double digits in overtime, which, again, it's only game one of a series, but it felt like right there and then, Johnson, the series was pretty much done because that's a game Cleveland needed to win to at least establish that they have a shot in the series. And to lose the way that they lost in that first game really showed the rest of the way in this series how deflating of a loss it was.
Yeah, that was the backbreaker, like we said it, Nick. We were in the on the way down talking to other Nick fans, saying, "You know what? I don't know if you're sitting in that locker room. I don't know how to respond at this
Yeah,
point." And it's just such a gut punch. And it was, if they had won that game, the momentum would have been all in their favor. They would have taken one on the road, and then you just have to protect home court at that point.
right.
But it led to such a domino effect that it led to $80 tickets game four and a Nick invasion of Cleveland, a true 50-50 crowd there in Cleveland.
Yeah, and you look at the rest of the series before we talk about that game four, which was something else itself for the Knicks. They win game two by 16 points. Another game in which it was back and forth early. The Knicks got a nice second half push, a second quarter push before really dominating the game in the third quarter. The game was really won by Josh Hart and his 3-point shooting. He missed his first three threes, I think, in that game, and then proceeded to make every single 3-pointer from there on out. It was an incredible shooting night for him in that game. Game three, again, it felt like, Cleveland was making it close. They battled back from down 10 at one point in the first quarter. They made it a game. And then towards the end of that game, the Knicks were just making some big clutch shots. And then it just felt like the Cavs just gave up at that point. Brunson had a sequence where he just ran around the Cavs defense and made it easy lay in. It just, you could just tell game one was so deflating. Then, there were opportunities in number two to have a chance. Game three early on, it looked like they had a chance as well. And then it just, they had no hope from there on out. They're down 3-0 going into game four. And then game four happens, and it looked eerily similar to what happened in Atlanta. It looked eerily similar to what happened in Philadelphia. The Knicks come out red hot, and they just did not stop from there on in. They just dominate the Cavaliers from start to finish, winning game number four, 130-93, a 37-point win for the Knicks in that final game. They won, and keep in mind, Johnson, what they've done in their elimination games so far this postseason. They've won in the first round by 51 points. They've won in the second round by 30 points. They win in the semifinals, or the conference finals, I should say, by 37 points. And they're going to their first NBA finals since 1999 with this victory over Cleveland.
Like I said, Nick, all of New York is partying like it's 99, but Johnny's best they've been since 99 for both baseball and basketball now.
Yeah.
And New York Knicks, best they've been since 1999. And this is a city that is very excited. The get-in price for Madison Square Garden as of this recording is about $4,000.
Yeah.
And this is Monday night. So you got a week to find $4,000, folks.
And I'll tell you what, if they win one of those games on the road, it's probably going to go up in price.
Nick, I think if it even comes back 1-1, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. You're right. If it win one game on the road, it's going to come back even higher.
All it takes is one.
Yeah, all it's going to take is one, because it's going to be crazy. It's going to be pandemonium outside the Garden these next couple days.
And we talked about 1999. They were in the NBA Finals that season, and Johnson, lo and behold, the team that they fought in that NBA Finals was the San Antonio Spurs, who at that point had a second-year Tim Duncan help them win an NBA championship. Well, in this year's NBA Finals, they will have to take on another young phenom from the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama, because the San Antonio Spurs defeating the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals, or Western Conference Finals, to advance to the NBA Finals in a thrilling 7-game series. It just kind of, insane how the world works sometimes. The Knicks get to their first finals since 99, and they're going to face the team that they lost to in that 1999 NBA Finals. Spurs win this series in 7, as I mentioned. They took game 1, and think about this also for the NBA. They had an incredible start to this conference finals for both teams. You had the Knicks coming back from that deficit in game 1 against Cleveland. But then the night before, you had Wemby and SGA going back and forth against each other. Wemby hits what I think is one of the more insane shots I think I've seen in my entire life. But in the first overtime, he just pulls up from the logo with about 20 seconds left, drains a 3 to send the game into double overtime, and they would go on to win in double overtime. He puts up 41 points in that game, as well as 24 rebounds. it was an insane performance from Wemby in that first game to get the Spurs a 1-0 lead, and that was really big because as we mentioned already, you take one of these games on the road, you set yourself up for an opportunity to win this series. The Thunder would come back in game 2 to win by 9 points. Game 3 back in San Antonio, the Thunder would take game 3, 123 to 108. But then Johnson, we saw a little bit of a tie. Things starting to turn in the Spurs' favor. They dominated Game 4, winning by 21 points, despite losing Game 5 in OKC by 13. The Thunder at this point were already losing a lot of their star players. They lose Jalen Williams, who was already injured most of the season, got back before the playoffs began with a hamstring injury. He re-aggravates that same hamstring injury, so he misses the final 2 games of this series. They also lose AJ Mitchell, who's been a big star for them off the bench this postseason. And a lot of these other bench players having to step up in bigger roles now because of these injuries. And it really hurt the Thunder and the rest of the way. They get blown out in game 6 on the road by 27 points. And then in game 7, in a really strong game 7 for both of these teams, the Spurs got out hot early. The Thunder came back to make this a game and tie it up at one point. But it would be the Spurs down the stretch of the fourth quarter, hanging on by a final of 111 to 103. Big games from Victor Wembanyama. He had 22 points and 7 rebounds. Julian Champagnie with 6 made 3-pointers, 20 points and 6 rebounds for him. He was also really shut down on SGA for the most part. Not only in this game, but for the entire series, SGA did have 35 points, but it did not feel like he had 35 points the way this game was going. But outside of that, you could just see, despite other contributions from guys like Kassan Wallace and McCain and Caruso and Williams off the bench, the Thunder just didn't have much production from their starting lineup. And one of the players that's been ridiculed for that has been Chet Holmgren. He's been getting torched online for his Game 7 performance.
Well, you can't have 2 attempts in a Game 7 where you're going to make $40+ million a year for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
If you're getting a super max contract in your early 20s, you got to perform.
Yeah.
You can't be scared of a moment.
Has it just been me or the guys that are eligible for the super maxes for the most part this postseason have just not been stepping up
Jalen Dern, yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's been a bunch of these dudes that have not stepped up.
Technically is going to be eligible once his rookie deal is up, but that'll be worth every penny.
If I'm the Spurs, yeah, you give him a blank check if I'm the Spurs at this point.
He's not going to be eligible for a little bit, but
yeah, he's been so insane to have for this team, and obviously, going back to that draft, they kind of lucked into him. I think at that, I don't remember what the odds they had at that draft were, but it wasn't, it wasn't like they had the number 1 overall opportunity to get him. I think
they still had a decent pick though.
I think they were 4 maybe in terms of odds.
Yeah, they still were they were still up there though.
Regardless, insane series between these two teams. As I mentioned, the playoffs really needed this because of the way most of these games were going. There were a couple blowouts in this series, don't get me wrong, but they really did need a series like this where it had to go 7 games again. But you just know that these are 2 of some of the best teams in the NBA, and they really showed out in these series. You had the 2, of course, also MVP finalists going up against each other. While SGA won the MVP, it's Wemby that wins the battle this time around and sends his team to their first NBA Finals appearance since 2014.
And he brought hate back to the NBA, too. He did not want to be friends with his team, too.
No.
Like, this was a bitter, bitter game. They were not friends on either side of these, and it was ugly, to say the least.
I'm looking at the odds, by the way, for that Wemby draft. It was Detroit, which is, keep in mind, the top 3 teams in this lottery this year, they're some of the better teams now in the NBA. Detroit, 17 wins at this point. They won 60 games this season. Houston's been a top 2 seed last year. They were in the playoffs again this year. And then San Antonio at 22-16. Even Charlotte and Portland and Orlando. These are some of the teams a couple of years ago that weren't even in the playoff, that were in the lottery, but are now playoff teams a couple of years later. But yeah, Spurs with the 3rd best odds to get him, but they were able to land him at that number 1 overall pick and get the French phenom, if you want to put it like that. But
Frank Ntilikina?
I know that's your French phenom, but might not be to a lot of other people. But yeah, incredible, Johnson. We now have an NBA Finals rematch from that '99 season where San Antonio did win that series in 5 games, but obviously a different changing of the guard a lot of years later. And for one city, it's a chance to get back to their old glory from the years of Greg Popovich and Duncan, Manu Ginobili, David Robinson, Tony Parker. The list goes on and on with all those players for the San Antonio Spurs. And for one other franchise, it's a chance to finally get over the hump, get to win their first championship in nearly 5 decades it's been since their last NBA championship, 1973 to be exact.
Oh, it's been more than a minute, Nick.
Yeah, it has been a very long time for the New York Knicks potentially to get the job done, and for them to do it, they'll have to take down a team that they already lost to in the NBA Finals in years past, but a team that was, as I mentioned a few years ago, was one of the worst teams in the league, and has now emerged as one of the best teams in the NBA due to the fact, and it all ties back to what we talked about earlier on. You mentioned it as well earlier on. A lot of this has been because of the draft lottery and some luck in that draft lottery, getting guys like Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Wembanyama, just to name a few players, but they've also made some nice contributions as well to get that roster. Guys like Julian Champagnie, who we all know the story about him getting to San Antonio, but the fact that Philadelphia had him at one point, they cut him to get Mac McClung into the dunk contest. An absurd reasoning for that. And then for the Knicks, we know what their story's been in terms of getting their roster produced. You get Jalen Brunson to sign after missing out on all those guys before everyone was clowning the Knicks for that. It's obviously worked out in hindsight. You get Mikal Bridges in that trade with the Nets. You get Karl-Anthony Towns in the trade with Minnesota. OG Anunoby in the trade with Toronto. Josh Hart in the trade with, I believe he was on Portland at the time. So it's been a different contrast of styles on how these two teams have gotten to this point and what they've had to do to get back to this point in the NBA Finals. So with all that being said, Johnson, we have a 7-game potentially series between these two teams. It could be an all-timer. We are guaranteed a new champion in the NBA this season. And I think for the finals itself, I think this is the matchup that a lot of people are excited to see going down because, a lot of people have lost interest in the Thunder after what happened for the majority of this season. And now you get an opportunity to watch these two teams between New York and San Antonio battle it out for the NBA championship. So who do you have winning the NBA finals? How many games? And who do you have winning the finals MVP?
Oh, jeez, man. You gotta really force me
Do you want
to
me to
make
go
a
first?
pick. Ah, God.
I can go first for you if you want.
All right. Well, if I have to pick an NBA Finals MVP, and if I have to pick an NBA champion, I had the Spurs
You did have the
since I
Spurs.
think the beginning of postseason. But I'm gonna say, you know what, Nick?
Uh huh.
You know what? You know what day Game 6 is?
Oh, I know what day Game 6 is.
Game 6 is Friday, June 19th. It's Juneteenth. It's a holiday for a lot of people. It's a federal holiday, so I have it off. You're going to see a lot of city workers have it off.
It's gonna be a World Cup day game that day
It's a
too.
World Cup day. You have France versus Senegal. And you know it'd be the perfect mix to that, Nick?
I think
If
a
the New
potential
York
Nick
Knicks
future, huh?
win it in 6, and it's a Friday night, and it's the weekend,
Oh
and people
man,
have been off the entire day, it's something that's coming straight out of a movie, Nick. This feels like it's destiny. So give me New York in 6.
who do you have as your Finals MVP?
Jose Alvarado. Just kidding. OG Ananobi.
OG Anunoby. I will
OG
give.
is going to lock up Wemby. Brunson's going to do what he did, but I believe OG might get the Iguodala treatment. Even though Curry was the best player of that series, Brunson may be the best player of that series, but it was Iggy playing defense on LeBron, which reason why he got the Finals MVP. I think there's still a lot of anti Jalen Brunson bias out there. Looking at you, Becky Hammond, and her defenders.
and,
So I
and yeah, it's not only her,
so
but it's a lot of people.
so if OG he's gonna be the one playing tough defense on him. We don't know the status of Mitchell Robinson yet, but OG's been one of his toughest defenders in the NBA so far. So if you tell me OG's going to average 20 a game right now and play all NBA caliber defense on Wemby, and New York gets a ring, it's going to be him. Those are my picks, Nick.
And for reference, for OG Anunoby, he's plus 6,000 odds to win Finals MVP. So good, very good value.
Yeah, because they aren't expecting him to win. I would say Brunson's probably plus 600 right now, something like that.
You want me to give you the top 6 odds? That's
Please
what
do.
I have right now. So I have Victor Wembanyama is favorite right now, minus 185. Is Jalen Brunson at plus 210. Then
Plus
it's
210.
Karl-Anthony Towns at plus 1,800. Stephon Castle at plus 5,000. OG Anunoby at plus 6,000. And then De'Aaron Fox plus 10,000.
So that's not really that ridiculous when you hear he's fourth on the list.
Right.
So that's not as crazy as it sounds then. He's the fourth most likely, just not very likely given the other two.
Right. And keep in mind, you know what? I also forgot to mention, this is also an NBA Cup rematch, this NBA Finals. This was the NBA Cup final from earlier this season. The Knicks won that NBA Cup. So for all the people say the NBA Cup's dumb, I mean, I guess it's paid off in the end for the NBA. They got the final two teams from that cup in the NBA Finals this season. Who says there's a cup curse from the years prior going into this season? Now, here's the problem, because I pretty much had almost everything similar to you when I was going to make this pick. Like you said, I think this is just setting up for a dream type scenario for this Knicks team. Again, it's going to be remotely biased, folks. We're both diehard Knicks fans at this point. We didn't think we'd be getting.
I own a Frank Ntilikina jersey.
Yes.
I've earned every moment of this.
I've watched the days of Stephon Marbury. My first game was when Stephon Marbury was a Knick, but I've watched the Lou Amundsen years, the Andrea Bargnani years. I'm trying to think of some other guys that are really bad. Alexei Shved, like just to name a few players. It's really been bad times watching this team.
How about not Jeremy Grant, Jerian Grant?
Yeah, Notre Dame legend.
Notre Dame legend. I don't think did he even suit up for the Knicks. I think he suited up for the Knicks for one season.
He did.
He did.
Trust me. He did.
Yeah, I think it was one season. Now we drafted him. It was in the late first round. Then
it was literally getting to the point where people were trying to like talk it up, be like, hey, maybe he's the next big point guard. And then in 2020, when this team was still not doing great, before the year before Randall and company got them to their first playoff in years. They were talking about. I mentioned this tweet with you a while back. We saw the Kenny Wooden, like, can he be a big guy for us? Like,
I forgot about. I remember Kenny Wooden, but I completely had forgotten about him.
It's been that we have been in the trenches watching this team.
Do you know who the starting point guard that year was, by the way?
2020,
2015, 2016,
2015, 2016. Is it Trey Burke or Shane Larkin?
It is neither of those people. It is a fan favorite of mine.
Was Frank early yet? Oh, because he was 20. No.
Frank was 20. Frank was never the starting point guard because we had to get Moutier right.
Not Dennis Smith Jr.
A little bit of European.
Calderon?
Yes, Jose Calderon. And according to Basketball Reference, his nickname is Mr. Catering. So
I didn't hate Calderon as a Knick as much.
No, I didn't. I liked him.
Right.
I feel like if he was on this team, we had that kind of vibe going on right now. I would like him, but. Here we are.
I mean, this is like I said, like last year they got to the conference finals and the city was going nuts then, but now the fact that they're in the finals itself, this city is ready to go to celebrate, and they're 4 wins away from doing so. This was my prediction after the first round, so I can't really take credit like you did with San Antonio. I think, did you have San Antonio? You had San Antonio at the beginning.
I've had San Antonio being very, very, for the longest time.
I had San Antonio the entire way until the Western Conference Finals. I switched it to OKC, but I did that intentionally, so we didn't have to face them. I wanted the Spurs the entire time. Not saying it's going to be easy. The Spurs will be an insanely tough matchup. My initial was San Antonio and Boston, and then I switched it obviously to the Knicks. But I was close to having my preseason prediction of Knicks and Thunder. Until OKC lost. Besides that, I'm getting off track. I unfortunately am going to have to do the same thing as you. I had the Knicks in 6 also. They have not won a game at home in terms of clinching all series. I feel like it's just it just feels like it's written in the stars for this team to win the championship in Madison Square Garden. Spike Lee's already said if they win the championship, they need to make sure it's not in Madison Square Garden. I kind of want to see because I need to see what the city's going to look like if it does happen at MSG on that day. So give me the Knicks also at 6. And I'm going to go, the sexy pick is probably going to be Brunson. I'm going to go Karl-Anthony Towns to be my finals MVP. I think.
You're picking Cat.
Yeah, I think with plus
Got
1,800
snubbed on the
odds,
All NBA team, by the way.
him and OG also. OG got snubbed on the All Defensive team.
Yeah, that was a massive snub.
So here's my theory about this series. I think the series is going to come down to what we saw against Cleveland, where they're probably going to double team Brunson a lot in this series, and it's going to be up to some of these other guys to step up. OG, I think, is going to do tremendous. Josh Hart is going to need to shoot like he did after game number 2 in that series as well against Cleveland. Like, if Josh Hart's getting those open threes again, that could be a nightmare scenario for the Spurs. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be the X factor for the Knicks in this series because you have a guy that's averaging your 6 assists per game for you in this postseason at center. He's going to be a guy that is going to get a lot of attention down inside the paint, but for a fact he can shoot from the outside, and that could help the Knicks because it might take Wemby out of the paint and have him defend the perimeter potentially on some different scenarios.
So Nick,
yeah,
this is 5:30 at night on a Friday.
Yes.
Or on a Monday, excuse me. I don't know why I said Friday.
I thought you were talking about the game itself, but the
game will be. The game is a week from today, Monday, June 8th, 8:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden, Game 3. What is the cheapest pair of tickets? What is the cheapest single ticket to get in there? And then what is the gap between these two tickets right now and the next ticket?
Oh, okay. So the cheapest single ticket your ex was the first one? I would guess 4,500.
$4,000 is the cheapest single ticket you could get.
So what's this? So this is the group ticket now, or is that the group ticket?
I'm sorry. So the cheapest single ticket you can get is $4,600.
Okay, so all right, so I wasn't far off.
Yeah, and the cheapest pair of tickets, Nick, $4,400.
Oh my goodness!
So if there's two of you, $4,400 piece. If there's only you have no friends that can afford a mortgage payment to go see a basketball game, completely understandable.
Yeah,
$4,000.
I mean,
but Nick, game number 4, I think it's a little bit better.
What's the price for game number 4?
Well, guess the single ticket and guess it again, Nick. Guess the single ticket and then
single ticket. I'll go 3,300.
You're close, 4,800.
4,800.
But Nick, the cheapest pair of tickets are $4,000.
Okay.
So if you got a friend, you're getting a discount to go into game 4. If you're going by yourself, that's gonna cost you close to $5,000.
It's gonna cost you a penny.
It is crazy though, because let's talk about these prices. Like, there's like one pair of tickets for $4,000, and then there's another one for 4,200, and there's a couple for 4,200. But it's like, it's not they're not adding more tickets for this. Like, it's not like people are buying these and then trying to resell them later on. It's like, no, these are getting bought, and then that's it. And it looks like people are really holding true to these values too, because they're not going down price. Like 2 weeks ago, you could have gotten for $2,500 for 2 tickets, and they just keep on selling and selling and selling. And I really don't feel bad for people that sold at $2,500, because those were probably people who had season tickets and they still made $1,000 per seat. And there are tens after 10 rows, by the way, or after 10 sets of tickets, so 20 tickets. It's like it's around $4,000. It's $4,500 up then. So if 20 people want to buy before you right now, you're looking at $4,500. If 40 people want to buy before you, Nick, you're looking at $5,000. Then this is assuming ticket prices don't fluctuate at all, but I'm just talking about right now.
Yeah, so, and even at San Antonio, it's not as expensive as that, but it's still not cheap. I think it's like what, $2,700 for like one of the tickets.
You could go for San Antonio. Actually, it's cheaper for you to take a flight to San Antonio tonight.
Yeah,
get a hotel room for tomorrow, hang out, go to the city, and then go to Knicks Spurs game 1 and game 2. You can get in under $1,000.
Really?
Like,
I must
yeah,
have
Nick.
missed the tweet then.
Right now on StubHub, get-in price is $850 for a pair of
Oh,
tickets for Game One.
I saw something completely different then. That must have
They've
been.
really dropped down in price now, Nick, for the
Mm,
last couple of days. I guess because they jumped on Spurs season ticket holders selling their tickets, so I
yeah,
guess
I guess that's maybe the
that
reasoning.
happened. So yeah, you could go to right now the cheapest getting price for Game One and Two, Nick, for 4 tickets is $4,100 with fees for 4 tickets. That's less than one ticket at Madison Square Garden. So you and your buddy, or you and your wife, or you and your whatever, can go
Your significant
to
other, whoever it is.
Madison Square. You can go take a vacation to San Antonio,
Yeah,
go to a game, and come back, and it's way cheaper than Madison Square Garden.
it's not a bad trip either. San Antonio's not a bad spot.
No, great city, great
Great
city.
city. Um, yeah. Um, talk to me before we wrap up. What's your mindset going into the series? Like,
Well,
what are you
my
feeling
mindset
wise?
is, I plan to attend Game Four unless we're down 3-0. Because if we're down 3-0, I don't want to be there
Yeah, you
for the
don't want to
sweep.
be there.
Call me
I,
fair weather, but there's two things I don't
no,
go to. I don't go to sweeps. I don't go to Game Sevens, no matter what. That's what I don't do.
you
I
don't want
don't
to
think I can
risk the
mentally.
possibility of watching the other team win on your home
It's
court.
not even that.
Oh no, okay.
It's not even that.
Because
It's just that
trust me,
like
I've been there before. I've seen a team clinch, a Red Sox team clinch at Yankee Stadium, so it's not fun to watch.
it's not even that. There's the whole Game Seven thing. Is I can't be in public for it.
That's also fair.
I was bad enough. I was in public for that Game One because I just
I
completely shut down.
I went to the Yankee Red Sox wild card game last year. There was the winner take all game, and I was just on the edge of my seat. But I was like, I felt like I was going to be insufferable if they won, and then I was going to be absolutely miserable to the point where I was going to like want to punch someone if a Red Sox fan got in my face and was bragging about the win. So I completely get it. I completely get it. You don't want to be out of public, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity. I had to go, but I completely understand where you're coming from with that take. So I agree. If there's a scenario where it's not, if it's 3-0 and even if so, if it's 3-0, let me just point this out. It's 3-0 San Antonio, right? Not 3-0 New York.
Oh, for your New York, I'm gonna
To
go.
be
Of
fair,
course,
I do not think. I mean, I'm wishful thinking. I do not think there will be a 3-0 scenario anyway.
absolutely not. I would be
I think there's a
shocked if there's a
two.
3-0 scenario.
It would have to take something catastrophic for either side to be that's in that spot. Um,
This will be a 1-2
this will be
or
a really
2-1
fun
going to Game
series.
Four.
But continue with your regards to it. So you're saying you'll be there for Game Four regardless, and then seeing how the rest of the series goes.
Yep, that is my plan.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be. I'm gonna be insanely. I felt so confident about these last couple series. It's a different style of level now because we haven't. We were just 2-3 years old when this team was in the finals in '99. We haven't really experienced this in our lifetime. So to get the opportunity to watch this is insane and incredible. It's been a while for a New York Power Four sports team to be in the finals itself. I think the last one, besides the
It was the
Yankees, I know,
Yankees. Yeah,
the Yankees had that World Series in 2024, but again, you just knew that
it
they
was the
were.
Giants before that.
Yeah, it was. No, I think it was the Rangers in 2014.
The
Yeah,
Rangers,
yeah,
yes,
the Rangers
the
had the
Rangers. That
Stanley
was still
Cup in
over a decade
2014.
ago.
Yeah, still that's what I'm saying. Like the Rangers in 2014. The Yankees, while they got there, it just you knew they were going to be in trouble because the Dodgers were just so talented on paper that it was going to take a lot for them to win. It feels like for this series, there's a lot of hope because they can actually get the job done. It doesn't feel like this is a team that like snuck by to just get into the finals. Like, keep in mind, we saw last year, everyone thought OKC was going to dominate Indiana, and then Indiana took them to 7 games. So I think this is going to come down to this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series. I feel like it's going to come down to one of those two. I don't think this will end in 5. I don't think there's going to be a sweep. I think this will go down to a game 6 in New York or a game 7 in San Antonio. It's going to be a fun series regardless for the non people of New York and San Antonio watching this. But for the New Yorkers, they're going to be on the absolute edge of their seats watching every single game, every single possession, every single minute, second of this entire series. And you can just tell by the voice, I'm very excited, but I'm also I'm a bit nervous. I'm just like I said, we have not been here ever, and for us at least. For us, for me, you and I. Do you
Nick, I
get this
said that the
chance?
conference finals the other week.
Yeah.
I would never expect to go to a Knicks game when it's 95 degrees outside.
Oh yeah, that game one piece.
We have Nick
It was.
basketball in June.
Yeah, we got an insanely hot night that night. It was not only hot outside, it was hot inside too.
Oh, absolutely.
Game one was insane, but yeah, game four or for your at least for your stance, game four will probably be another hot night. Hopefully for the next games 3, 4, and maybe even a potential clincher in game 6, no matter when it is, will be hot. But I'm looking forward to this finals. I know you're looking forward to this finals. I'm sure the entire NBA world is looking forward to this NBA finals. And Wednesday night's going to be a very fun time potentially to see what goes down. And like you and I said already, it really just takes one game for the Knicks on the road to really put themselves in the right direction to win this series. So they can get it done in game 1 or game 2. That's all it takes. I think winning one of those first 2 games to put yourself in a spot where you're tied 1-1 or God willing, you're up 2-0 going back to New York will really, really ignite the city to thinking, wow, we are really this close to doing something special this year. So we'll see what happens. But any final thoughts, Johnson, before we wrap this one up?
Just take us home, Nick. Go Knicks.
I will take us home. I will indeed agree with you. Let's go Knicks in the NBA Finals. But that's going to do it for this week's edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. We are down to the final 2 teams in this year's NBA season. It is the San Antonio Spurs, the Western Conference champions. And I can't believe I'm saying the sentence, Johnson, but in the Eastern Conference champion, it is the New York Knicks going down in a rematch of not only the NBA Cup from this previous season, but it's a rematch of the 1999 NBA Finals. Will the Spurs repeat history from 1999, or will the New York Knicks win their first NBA championship since 1973? We'll see how this series unfolds. As I mentioned, Game 1 will take place this upcoming Wednesday night. And once the NBA Finals concludes, Johnson and I will be back here to recap the NBA Finals. Hopefully, we're in a good mood when we recap those NBA Finals. But nonetheless, win or lose, we will be here to recap the NBA Finals before breaking down our last show before we get into our mock draft in a few weeks' time. For Nicholas Pavone and Andrew Johnson, this has been the All Gas No Break Sports Show. Have a great rest of your week, and let's go Knicks.